Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the premiere podcast, Pile It On, with myself, Elliott Morgan, and the lovely Grace Helbig.
Oh, thank you. I'm here as always.
Yes, you are. This is a podcast where we talk about what we're watching on TV. The first several episodes have been on Married at First Sight, which we'll talk about a little bit, but it recently ended, thank the Lord. And
I mean, for now.
For now, it's going to be back. It's right around the corner. And now we're binging Survivor, so we're wearing very silly bandanas.
Yeah.
And so it's not a... It's also we have them for
safety reasons. Yeah. We did it. We took the plunge. We got into Survivor.
Yeah, it's go for it. Just have at it. You get stay hydrated.
He's on Survivor right now.
This is a very also special podcast because I haven't slept much.
Right.
And I forgot that if you, as much as you want,
she's really just mocking the people that are overly dehydrated on Survivor, just showing them what they can't have.
Could you imagine having a bowl of water?
I mean, sometimes she does this where it's
it's
comically long.
Which especially it's great if you can't hear it at home because it's just us being like, this is the
total
craziest
nonsense paranoia of nothing.
Yeah. But I'm real tired, Grace. How are you feeling?
I'm great. I'm a little high.
Okay, right out of the gate. I was like, no, I gotta overshare. Or anything.
No.
I'm not. I'm fine.
Yeah, that's what a high person says.
I'm fine. And it's just the reality is shifting. But it's been a day. What you had I came out today. We were doing a Your Show thing, and I came out, and you were like, I forgot I took an edible.
Yes.
And I did it, and now I was outside, and I was like, this is different.
Well, that's a terrible impression of me, first of all.
No, you're a 55-year-old
thank you.
pool player.
And second of all, I took a little edible just to calm down from the, daily anxiety that we all feel, and I completely forgot about it. And like an hour later, I was outside, and suddenly I got real tired and real less stressed than I was before. And I couldn't understand why that could be happening.
Yeah,
and then,
it's very funny.
Ding dong, light bulb went off.
Yeah, what can you do? There's a bunch of, we were in Palm we re-quarantined.
Springs.
We went
Palm Springs.
Previous episodes, we're very tired. I'm gonna say it's because of the fatigue. We went to and got to you went to the store where you can buy it legally.
Yes, I finally did. Yeah, I went to the weed store.
Yeah, and that was very fun. It's nice. It's a good
support your local businesses.
Exactly, especially the essential ones.
Yes.
And it was very it's such a nice thing during this time. But,
anyway, we got off topic. I thought you were going to circle it back around to Survivor.
This is the subject. But much like Weed Survivor, also you were watching another thing you did today.
This is now just what happened to Grace today. Go ahead.
We were, I was outside and it was, we were watching, I think it was, oh yeah, it was, okay. So we're watching Survivor currently. We have watched 2 seasons so far.
Yes, we started with season 39 because it was the most recent one.
Yeah.
When we started watching, that wasn't the one that's currently airing.
Yes.
And then Hannah had recommended many times for us to go back and watch the David versus Goliath season, which is season 37.
Of course, everyone knows.
And so we got big into it, starting to watch 39. Yeah. And then we took the dive into 37. And now we're currently on 40.
Do you remember the math? Do you remember maths? Do you remember the moment that you were like, I'm in? Because I know what mine was.
What was yours?
It's Denise when she used her idol.
Well, no, see, that was you're into this season?
That's what cemented me in the whole show.
I was already in right away when we started watching season 39.
Yeah, you were.
Well, because both of us hadn't watched it since I was in maybe 5th grade when I remember the last time seeing it, which was maybe the first season of it.
And I remember it being cutting edge.
And it was crazy.
This is called reality television.
There was, I vaguely remember that my family went on a family trip to Disney World and we left the park early so we could go back to the hotel room and watch the finale of Survivor because that's how hooked America was on this new reality show.
Yes.
And so that's my memory of it. It's been 20 years now. And when we started watching season 39, it was so fast and furious that I couldn't believe it, and I get it. I understand why people are obsessed with it.
They know what they're doing.
It's nuts. And that season got me all riled up about a lot of things that were reflected from society. A lot of Me Too movement stuff going on that got me all bothered.
Well, that was when we were in Palm Springs, and we were just you were on the couch going, and I was pacing around going like, how is this? How are there not articles? And then we started because it's years old reality TV that we're watching.
But I also didn't want to Google it because we hadn't finished the season, and I didn't want spoilers on who was going to finish. So
that took a lot of strength.
It was very stressful. A lot of pacing around that day.
Yeah, the whole concept of the show is so. It's so simple at first, and then now that I'm getting into it, it feels so like, gosh, it feels like so easily addictive that it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I kept calling it bitchy chess.
Bitchy chess, yeah.
Yeah, this is bitchy human chess.
Yes, and I tell you, Grace, I would love it. I would love the opportunity
to go on it,
to form alliances. Yes.
Oh, see, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Yeah, but you would love the chance to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I asked you in the middle of binge watching it, like, would you actually go on this show if you had the opportunity? And you said yes, and I said no.
Okay, so let's explore this for a moment, please. So here at Pilot On, we like to, really get into the deep stuff. You mean to tell me that if somebody came to you and they were like, Grace Helbig, we love so much of what you've done.
Okay.
We are doing a new season of Survivor.
Right.
We are mixing in. It's not going to be like peers or anything. It's going to be you with just people who are your strangers, different walks of life, but we want you to be the social influencer person.
Okay. Already cringe.
You're
Don't want to do
it.
No.
We're going to have some hashtags.
I'm already...
You're not going to do it?
No, I don't...
Oh, I'm upset.
What? You would do that?
I wouldn't be able to say no inherently because I have a hard time saying that. But
no, I would. I just know that I wouldn't do well on Survivor, and then I know that I would also be mad at myself for not doing well on Survivor, not being able to be cutthroat and like conniving like that, and so it would just be a whole mental fuck for me.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway, that doesn't take away from how much I'm obsessed with watching people that are able to play it.
Yeah.
But the biggest, craziest part of all of this newfound fascination with Survivor is how huge like the community is and how immediate these people become actual celebrities.
It's like YouTube. It was like seeing it was a whole
maybe
world.
That's why it was so bonkers to be like, this seems familiar. What's going on here?
Something is eerily strange about seeing somebody walk up to somebody else that you've never seen either of them, and one of them be like, you are my, like, I can't believe you are my absolute favorite. We did Island of the Idols.
Island of the Idols, yeah.
And this is the first season we watched, right? Then there's a whole island, right? Because there are multiple islands.
Yeah.
We're learning, and they made
also learning that they go to Fiji now. Every single season, because I remember when I first started watching it, it'd be like, now they're in Africa, now they're in some. I can't think of any other place. You can skip over this.
Olive Garden, whatever. We're tired. That was right at the time when you and I probably both stopped watching it as kids. When you started being like, oh, well, now they're in this place. It must all be the same. It's not the same. Each thing has its different tales.
Anyway, sorry, you were talking about Island of the Idols.
Yes, please.
So now they're in Fiji, and they have this other island for the idols who turn out to be two of like the biggest godmothers in the whole game system community itself. And
they're people we've never seen, I don't think, in our lives.
I would say maybe the woman's in my mom's water aerobics class. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's the getting into the show, and I take a while to I try not to get into the shows too much.
Yeah, because you actively put up a wall. You do this. Impress me. You're like an angry person at a comedy show.
Yes, and I pretend like it's going to be hard, and it takes one interesting thing to be like, this is a fascinating reflection of society, but it is.
I know, that's the thing too, is that both of us are a little sarcastic and get very cringy with cliches like Survivor being a reflection of the way society works, but then it happens on the show and you have to just say yes to it. And it's the best. It's
such a good balance, babe. Earlier today we were watching an episode because the way our lifestyles are, we don't leave the house very often, and as a result we'll turn on Survivor in the middle of the day as a break between all the other things that we're busy bees doing. And today I was out on the back porch, and it was an episode where they bring their families. And Grace was like, I'm gonna put on an episode, and I'm gonna be like, it's gonna be in the background, chill or whatever. Like, great, we're gonna play some Scrabs, do our thing, live in our truth. Then it ends up being the family episode, and when the family members start coming out, I'm immediately crying.
Because we've also learned that this is a recurring thing on the show.
Yes.
I didn't realize that, but that's very cool that they have this benchmarker knowing that this is going to happen, but they all thought it was going to happen later in the season, and surprise, Jeff fucking Probst brings out all the family.
So then, and then they bring out the family also for like the losing tribe or whatever. And
they bring out the losing tribe's family.
Grace just goes, I'm mostly hearing Grace go,
I was crying a lot.
But between the that's so sweet. You go, the first one, they're doing it for both. Oh, you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. And that was very funny. But before that, I'm like stepping outside because I'm so emotional, because it's like imagining being stuck on an island. Back in the day, when I was a slightly more cynical person, I would look at something like Survivor and be like, it's not that hard. Like, they're not gonna really endanger. They're gonna be fine. Now though, being separated from your loved ones on an island with a bunch of strangers for competition, and you're lying and backstabbing the entire time, I can understand and sympathize how that might be kind of an insane environment. And then when you add the family to that, it's so overwhelming emotionally. And then I'm outside and I hear Grace go, oh, this is beautiful. And then you go, oh yeah, I bet they just shit in the water. And then immediately back to like, oh my God, it's both the daughters.
Because Tyson was showing, Tyson's the funny, really dry humored one that we both really came to love this season. He had his whole family show up, and he's showing his kids, and he's trying to make a joke to his daughter, saying like, this is where daddy works. Daddy's just running in the woods in his underwear. This is my work uniform. This is my my pool and my toilet. Yeah. And then as he was saying that, I was like, oh, so they shit in the water. Okay, because I keep thinking that's my biggest fear of why I don't want to be on the shows, because of my bowels, and curiosity too of what's going on with them. I always want to know if they're going to get
the ultimate backstabber.
Well, truly, and the ultimate blindside. I also want to know what's going on with their bowel movements. I'm constantly saying to Elliott, someone got diarrhea and they're not showing
There's
us.
no way. They'll be like, you get to eat rice for 2 weeks.
And then there'll be a reward that says, like, you get Applebee's.
And here's some barbecue.
And then they'll house some nachos. And in my mind, I'm like, they are shitting everywhere. And that's the part that they're not really focusing on very much. And I'm fascinated by.
And so we're pivoting as a podcast right now to kind of unveil a lot of the truths behind Survivor. And one of them is surrounded by shit.
No, we haven't done the actual deep dive into the secrets of the show. Because when I mentioned this one time on a live stream with Hannah and Mamrie, we were talking about Survivor, since Hannah's also a major fan, and we talked about something about like, what would you wear on the show since you only get that one outfit, and immediately all the comments were like, the producers picked their outfits, like going through it. I was like, because there's a whole world
Santa isn't real
culture about it, but that they know this, that people that are huge super fans, this is common knowledge for all of them, and I'm like, this world is so complex.
There's a double-sided, I hope we keep this theme going, but there's two sides of the coin of the shows that we're watching, and I think it's pretty universal in all of reality television, and it's so cool, which is one side is you get these really cool authentic moments, or these really cool authentic weirdo moments, and there's the flip side where you get to just guess what's really going on behind the scenes. To do a little bit of a throwback for folks, and if you're following along at home, don't worry, it's fine, but we watched a little bit of the Married at First Sight reunion.
Are you talking about the one we watched today?
Yeah, and I'm just to say...
Oh, no, it's Where Are They Now? Where they're catching up with couples from a bunch of previous seasons. And finding out, like, who's still together, who's still angry.
And it was great. It's not worth diving into a bunch, but it is fun to be, like, I realized, I was like, oh, that is the fun. Like, you going, oh, that's so sweet, to... they probably really shit in the water. Back to, that's the sweetest thing. That encapsulates everything that I like about reality television.
Oh, good.
I was thinking, we will listen to this, Grace. Listen to me.
Let me hear what's going on in that brain.
Listen, this is going to be crazy.
Okay.
We have gotten to where we either watch a show with a complex plot about an AI demon murderer monster.
Yes.
Or we watch a show about couples who date, but they're underwater during it, and the water is Jello, and some of them aren't there for the right reasons. That's all we watch.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I think both of them have broader themes in that, like, our brains and technology is going to destroy us.
Well, we're deep. Like, we're deep people.
But yeah, so we watched the Maths Where Are They Now, which was pseudo interesting.
Which is fine. Yeah, I don't want to.
But Survivor is where we're at right now in terms of what's taking up the majority. And I watched a couple more episodes than you did, so I'm technically caught up currently on the season.
When did you watch?
But I watched them like half. I like 50% was paying attention.
The stuff we're watching, you've already seen. Then?
No. I watched a couple episodes when you were on the phone in the background and didn't realize that it was going until it caught up all the way.
You watched 2-hour-long episodes?
Perhaps.
So
I did.
It's great. Thank you. Thanks.
Well, I call it research now. So it has a purpose. It's not just totally trivial.
Any fun things you want to tell me about?
Well, let's talk about the stuff that we've both seen that stand out to you. You didn't get to finish why Denise was your favorite and why Denise's moment was the thing that defined you liking the show.
Yeah, I didn't. It was basically her taking someone's idol.
She took Sandra's idol.
Listen to this, folks.
Guys,
they introduced...
Open your ears.
First of all, we're just
Close your hearts.
Yeah, close your hearts. We're getting used to Survivor. We throw on the newest season. Always an exciting thing. Catching up with where the people are at, and they introduce these tokens. They introduce these little thing. What do you call them? The
fire tokens.
Fire tokens.
Yeah.
Great.
It's so cute.
Fun.
It's so quaint.
And they're like,
yeah, they really don't put a lot of creative effort into.
No.
But it doesn't matter because the game itself is so clever and interesting that they don't need puns and dumb shit like that.
No, and if they do put a pun or dumb thing in there,
it's
gross.
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
Or great.
Sure. We're on different pages. But yeah, they introduced this whole fire token thing, and so there's this girl named Denise, and she's like, gets the opportunity to have an immunity idol. And you can imagine what that means because at the end of the episode, they all get together and they have a tribal council and they vote somebody off.
You really think people don't know how Survivor works?
I don't know because I didn't.
True. Okay, fair.
I forgot because I was like, wait, so this ain't just one?
Yeah, here's your quick spark notes on Survivor.
I still don't understand how it works because on the end of the season, all of a sudden, with no warning, they're in LA and it's very jarring every time.
Yeah, that thing, I forgot that. I guess that's a thing that happens on that show where the final vote starts cinematically on location wherever they're filming, and then it cuts to Jeff in the studio.
It's like everybody, the crowd goes wild, and you're like, whoa, there's like real people that are like watching this.
They're losing their goddamn brains about it.
Yeah, so they have these tokens, and Denise gets an opportunity to have immunity, and in exchange, the person who has the idol that is selling it to her is like, I'll give it to you.
Well, Denise had...
You saw this part, because I didn't even see this part.
Denise had her own idol. She found one on her own. Sandra came to Denise... knowing that the rest of the tribe was going to vote out Denise and said, hey, if you give me 2 fire tokens, I found an idol. Denise doesn't tell her she has one already. Yeah. Instead, she goes, I'll give you 1 now, and I'll give you 1 fire token after I find out it's real, because they can make fake little DIY idols. That's so cute. They do a little Michael's Arts and Crafts corner, and they make stuff, but also very clever. Okay, I know, there's so much to talk about. But anyway, so Denise and Sandra make this deal. They go to tribal council. Denise plays her idol, I think.
She plays her idol for herself.
She plays her idol that Sandra gave her for herself to protect herself. And then because everyone else had voted for Denise, their votes don't count. So the only vote that counts is Denise's, and Denise votes for Sandra.
So listen, context.
Wow!
Listen.
This was a crazy move.
If you didn't understand what that meant, listen, that is...
that was
neither did I.
That's like audible webdings.
Yeah, that made no...
or wingdings.
And it ended up being this other person that we haven't mentioned until right now, but...
But this is also how people feel when we talk about Married at First Sight.
It's all... that's very true. It's also the hook, though. It was the moment before that happened in that show, I really didn't understand a lot of what was going on. Mm-hmm. In that moment, this woman who's super unassuming looking... and very sweet seeming,
very humble,
very like level-headed.
Yeah.
She votes for the person, she gets to choose because of all these idols that she has, who's going home, which is pretty cool in like a strategy board game type of thing.
An insane amount of power that is so unbelievably rare for someone to get in this game.
Yeah, unlike, it's like a hack. It's like she hacked the game for an episode. And so seeing somebody on national television, they're panning back and forth. It's great editing. They're going back to who you think it is. It's this person, it's this person. The one singular vote was a Sandra girl who was like a hero beforehand.
She's like the queen bee because she's the only person to win twice.
Yeah, and was all... Oh, really?
Yeah.
And she was the one, right, who sold Denise the idol. In exchange for, after it's done, I'll give you the other token, provided it's real. It was real. Kicked her off. Girl doesn't get her token. Cold. That's cold, and I'm in.
It took that moment where you understand all of these little razor edge puzzle pieces fitting together, and you loved it. The conniving sense of you, just like full on boner.
It was a boner. It was
one of them sneaky conniving
boner.
Yeah, and for this woman that you think is so like poised and elegant, and then to do something so shady, it was like, ooh.
There's in the way they.
Who are you?
It was like, I felt like I'd taken a shower. It was like I needed it. I was like, this is seeing some person who you is just very elegant, very kind.
Oh, it's
just
crazy.
Pull the shittiest movies. It's so funny.
It was so unreal, and watching everyone's reactions in the game to it because they know how insane that was is so cool. It's also very fun to watch the people when they get voted off. They have this like insanely saturated moment of so many angry, pissed off, sad emotions that immediately get squashed, and they go, good game, good move. Like they remember that they're playing a game, most of them, except for, who was the woman that was the lawyer? I think, no, she was the publishing company
I don't forget
agent, that just bossed everyone
very
around.
Unpleasant person.
And the younger girl asked her for her jacket, and she said no.
And what Grace is explaining is this woman was voted out, and as she was walking out, a girl who wanted her jacket kept going, can I have your jacket? Can I have your jacket?
Her name wasn't Denise. I forget what it was. But she kept calling her name, and the woman just said nothing and didn't look back.
Yes, which is great. Like those,
so cold.
That's where the reality television is so beautiful, because you have these moments of people where they're trying to put on a good face, but you can see the just seething anger and sadness. And like, I get it now watching it, because there's a Lord of the Flies style fantasy to being on a stranded island, and to create a show around it does seem to me to be very fun. I think you would do very well at it, Grace.
I don't know. I told you I get hives, and so that's an uncontrollable body tell that I would just immediately be lying and just be covered in hives, and they'd be like, so people would keep me in the game to use me as a lie detector test.
Yes,
and all I'd want to do is be taken out of the game at that point.
Yep. You would just be like, it isn't me. I'm going to vote for. Who are you going to vote for? I'm going to vote for me. I want to go home.
I need to go home. I voted for me again, Jeff. Yeah. Please don't make them keep me here.
The first person going home tonight, and the first person who goes home every time she comes to the island, Grace.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Grace.
Thank you. Just resetting.
Hope you all enjoyed the ad portion of that podcast. The other thing that, and this is going to be maybe a slightly shorter episode, folks. Maybe it won't, but
maybe it won't. There's so much to talk about with Survivor. I'm glad that we're caught up on season 40, so we'll be able to talk about it more in real time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I use the singular we.
How many great moments did I miss out on?
Actually, no. I was hardly paying attention because it didn't seem that big of moments happening, which is why in my head I thought, just keep it going. You'll rewatch it with him anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. No, we don't need.
And that's how you guys watched us fight and find a solution all in one episode.
Right. On Married at First Sight, they call that an anomaly. That's an incredible thing that just happened. But anyway,
I thought you were going to say alimony.
On Married at First Sight, they call it alimony. There is also a person, because this season is, what's the season called?
It's a War of the Gods or something, or War of Winners. Winners at War.
Winners at War. And so they have all of these.
It's all the people that have won previous seasons. Yes. So not only, the crazy thing too ties into this is that in watching the season 38 or whatever 39 first, to see that everyone that gets cast is a super fan of the show, super, like grew up watching it as a kid sometimes, that now not only are the people on this season were they super fans when they started, but they won the game that they're a super fan of. So they're the gods of this game in their minds,
which is so fun
and
to
in
watch.
so many other people's minds.
It's so many other, and it's so great to be on the outside and be like, it's like we're looking inside at a party that we weren't invited to, and everybody's having fun. It's very nice because there's having no context makes it so much sillier. And
we don't have any history with what these people's backstories are.
No idea.
Unless they show us in these current episodes.
By the way, not to go back to the Married at First Sight thing too much, but I do want to mention how the basketball player from the previous season.
Oh yeah, we'll come back to that.
We will? Okay, great.
I'll make a mental note,
well, then,
and if we forget,
then let's talk.
We forget.
Yeah, then we'll forget. But let's talk for a moment about the is his name Adam? The millennial.
Oh yes, his name is Adam. He won, I guess, millennials versus Gen X's or something, which sounds like a season I don't need to see at all.
I have a question as to
how. You know who lost that season? The audience.
Yeah. So his name's Adam, and he, as a character, we don't know him personally, but as a character, he's not the most like fun character, I guess, but he's a young guy who speaks his mind.
He's a young guy who's, super fan, super dork of the game that won his season, so he's obviously very strategic and good at this, but he's also a little absent-minded and a little
reactive, maybe
a little reactive and a little not self-aware in moments that I think I had too high of expectations or like first impression of him, of his like playing a character maybe up a little bit and like pretending to be a little flighty or flaky or dumb or whatever. And no, I think he just has like an inflated sense of what he's good at.
You have good heart. That's sweet. That you gave that big of a benefit of the doubt. This is a character. He's not really like this. Well, anyway, he thought he was going to get voted off. He ended up getting voted off. But the last thing I saw, and this is another thing that I've learned to cherish very much in reality television, is a level of cringe that, like a shower, feels very invigorating. And he had a moment where he thought that he was going to find an immunity idol. And
I know. You cringed so hard at him thinking that there was a little fleur-de-lis, a little decoration on the podium that Jeff was talking at. And so he thought maybe the show producers are hiding an idol in plain sight.
Yeah, and you're saying your blood didn't turn 10 degrees colder?
You got so cringry at him for walking up and trying to pull it off the podium. And I thought, if you're delirious and exhausted and desperate in this game at this point, why not? And if anything, it makes him it gives him a little Survivor moment, TV time moment that he can add to his little Survivor resume to throw the word resume around, which apparently gets used 12,000 times an episode on Survivor.
A whole new thing that we're figuring out.
We're learning.
I don't think he shouldn't have done it, because if you want to stay on the island, you do everything you can.
Exactly.
But there is something about it. Spoiler, it wasn't an idol. It was just part of the set.
It was just part of the set, which makes even better television.
It's perfect, because I put myself in his position and did feel a sense of like abject humiliation on his behalf. But he's pulling at this piece of the set, and what's funny about it to me is he clearly had said in a Talking Head interview prior that he thought that there was an immunity idol.
Right, so producers had ears on the fact that this was rolling around in his head.
Which means that the producers could have been like, put a little thing on it, make it an idol. Tape it to the back, whatever.
Sure, they could have actually gone, that's actually really smart. We should have hidden one in plain sight.
And they didn't, because they wanted him to look, and they wanted that moment to happen.
They wanted a moment to happen.
And I ate it up like a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, you loved it. But
it was great.
You loved seeing this kid that you think is a dork get embarrassed on TV.
He wasn't the most hateable character.
But that's the thing. I don't think he feels embarrassment.
He wasn't like a Zach.
Yeah, but I don't think he feels embarrassment like that, because I think you missed a moment like a couple episodes previously when he walked into tribal council with his torch, and he just spent a while. Everyone puts their torch in a little like cubby hole in the back, and it stands up, and he just stood there with his torch trying to put it in something, and one of the other competitors was like, here, let me help you, and he took it to the other end of torches, and then he just goes, I thought there was a hole there. And so that
We've
and
all
it was
been
so
there.
pure, and like it wasn't like he was doing a class clown shtick thing. So maybe I was like, if this kid is really that,
He
like,
handled it well.
airheady, that's very funny to me.
Yes, it's actually that unfortunately makes it a more charming thing.
Yeah, and you don't
I could
want
have done without that.
You don't want any redeeming charm ever.
Don't make it so it's like you're likable during it, because I feel like in that environment I would be very similar, and I would be like, I don't know where the thing is. And I would take a shot at it, I would miss it, and then one of the big burly dudes would be like, here dude, and I would be like, thanks bro, I'm like you and I'm not like them, and I would feel humiliated.
So that's also the crazy fascinating part of this whole franchise. It is that anyone can be interested and good at this game. Like, it's not one sector of type of person.
Yeah.
It's so diverse. It blows my mind. And it's because I think it all comes down to the one thing we all have in common is just pure, unadulterated greed. That's all that binds all of us.
Like all good reality television, it unites us under the common greed.
Yeah, just backstabbing greed.
Which is... the structure of the show is so good because putting a prize...
They're so smart at what they're doing.
It's perfect. It's so much better than Married at First Sight. I'm so sorry. Y'all, we made a mistake.
But yeah, it's different. I think it's so much different than Married at First Sight.
Yes, it offers something different to different people, and there's room for both.
It does.
We can put the final Married at First Sight versus Survivor debate to rest.
Even though I would love a season of Survivor with people from Married at First Sight.
Combine the shows conceptually.
Yeah.
Not only are you married, you're married on an island, can't go anywhere.
You're getting married at first sight, and you get a honeymoon if you survive.
I mentioned this earlier today, I know there's liability issues. A child Survivor edition would be really cool.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. I want no part in it.
I just want to see what kind of forts they build and if they are functional and what kind of
You just want a Swiss Family Robinson?
Yeah, I want to see what they can do. I don't know what kids can do. I don't have them, so I'm like, I don't know what their skill set is. Maybe some of them. Imagine if there was a season of Survivor and there were kids, and there was one kid who just happened to be really good at building shelters for people. I think that would be the cutest thing that anybody's ever seen.
And then there's one kid that's just actually so good at lying to all of them.
Yeah.
I think that'd be so sad and depressing to see. You're just watching a child's personality concrete. You're watching bad be concrete inside of little tiny kids growing up.
I think the inclination would be too that if you saw a kid being like backstabbery, you're gonna be like, that guy's gonna be a serial killer. But these people are normal people who, when they are on the island, assume a role of being that, so they can get out of their system. So the kids who are the good kids on the show,
which is basically Westworld.
Yeah, it's all connected. Baby.
I mean, that's what's so crazy too, because that was the interesting moment on the season we watched 39, where the redheaded fourth grade teacher won, and they're asking him, the tribal council or whatever is asking, what were your limitations or boundaries? What did you tell yourself you weren't going to do in this game to win? He was like, I sat down with my fourth grade students, and when I told them I was going to go on Survivor, I told them, I will lie, cheat, and steal to win Survivor. And I'm like, can you imagine your fourth grade teacher just being like, kids, I have some news for you. I've been selected to go on Survivor, and I will be lying and cheating and stealing on TV in front of all of you, and I need you to know. Yeah, on the list that would be the coolest teacher I'd ever had in my whole life. Because it's the most tame scandal you could ever ask for from a fourth grade teacher. It's you heard about Mr. So-and-so. He had an idol and he didn't tell anyone about it. A bad guy. He's a bad one. That part was great, because you can just imagine being like, okay, yeah, man, go do your thing. Cool. It's a game. You don't need my permission. You're an adult. I'm the child here. Yeah, I don't know. I take my cues from you, man. But it is interesting that it attracts so many different types of people who just truly want to, like you said, live out that weird fantasy that you can't get away with in everyday life. The Westworld of it all. The West, because it's a themed environment too, and very just we're all doing it in some way. Also, for folks who are
listening, if in the comments or tweet us the seasons that we should watch of Survivor, because they're evergreen
because
as heck.
and the speed at which we are able to consume an entire season, we will have the time very soon and availability for more seasons to be slotted in.
Yep. And it humbles us to be able to watch so much. It's so sad how much we can watch so quickly that
I think it's pretty impressive if you want to be optimistic about it here.
Yes.
We're passionate.
We're very passionate. Actually, to be completely honest, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
But I'm not hooked in a way that's like it's nourishing. I'm hooked in a way that it's like, okay.
Oh, it's going to harm other aspects of your life?
I'm not sitting around being like, well, who
so
knows?
I can expect for you to be slowly lying to me on a regular basis.
I build them slow, baby. I build them slow. I'm a little house of cards.
You and Goose just keep whispering right before we fall asleep every night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you do? Which, okay, here's my one current peeve with this pet is that I don't like that they're allowed to whisper as much as they want to while they're at tribal council until Jeff arbitrarily decides to stop them. I think it's fascinating that people will get up and like have a quick side conversation last minute, because that's truly their last desperate attempt. But now I think like the floodgates have been opened and that's all they're doing, and it just consumes all their time.
Yeah.
And it feels like, oh, now you're not even watching cool strategy. You're just like trying to be the last one having a conversation before they call stop.
Yeah. And
I feel like there need to be new rules about limited conversation between each other at tribal council, or you just can't whisper, but you can find other ways to like communicate. Like, I'm going to wear my blue bracelet. If I turn it over to red, that means that we're voting for Wendell.
Well, that's like the other night we were watching some season, and I was like, if I was on the show and I was at a tribal council and everybody's deciding like who's going to vote and they're making cases for themselves, I would just go, I'm going to vote for you. And I would be like, I'm voting for you to leave because but then everyone would think that you're doing some bit. Well, you know what? You live your truth, and what people make of it is up to them.
Well, that's the crazy thing, too, is that these are all, regular people that have a variety of jobs, but they can lie and act their way out of these situations better than I've ever done in any audition in my entire life. It blows my mind, their ability to lie straight to each other's faces and come up with stories on the spot to cover, like if they've been searching for an idol or something.
Because on most reality TV, if somebody's lying, there'll be like a little bit of like, and you're like, you know it's a lie.
Right.
And this one, I never know. Maybe I'm not paying close.
I truly don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I feel like now, because the show evolves so much, they're doing all this gossipy chit chatter like before tribal councils that I feel like producers can't even keep up with the way the story is going or the conversations are going.
And with the whispering to support you in this a little bit, because you're right, it's not something I thought like actively, but I do remember at one point being like, a lot of whispering, and it's just like kind of filling airtime.
It gets annoying. It's like when you hear a weird like whistling sound and you don't know where it's coming from, and you're just like, it's like stop.
It's almost like sound effect. It's like a caricature of a whisper.
For a game that's so complex and advanced, it just seems a little uncreative to me.
Well, and that's
what you want. These people want a little flair, even with their modest moves, to pad their resume, which they all are obsessed with constantly, which is so funny to me because it makes me feel like we're watching The Apprentice.
Yeah, they act like witches.
Yeah. And so
same idea, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't realize, because I remember them being like voted out at the very end and having to come back and be the jury or whatever. And I totally forgot that was part of the game and a whole aspect that they basically present themselves like a book report at the end of like, here's why I should win.
And also when they're going back and forth and it's just these long prolonged whispers, like I think there's something real cool about just like a quick like, and then your mind sees that and imagines like, Operation Plan B or so whatever,
right?
Like, something that's like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Get creative with their signaling and the way that they're communicating.
Because when you're as a viewer, when you're watching more whispering than you can imagine what they're saying, it gets really weird because you're like, we're gonna vote for this person.
Yeah.
Like, what are you feeling? What more is there to?
I know. As a viewer, you become like upset that it feels like they're placating you or like talking down to you, and you're like, give me credit to be able to understand what's going on here.
Yeah. Just treat me with respect, show.
Before we forget or get too far, because we could talk a lot about Survivor, and maybe we'll have to talk about it more next week, I want to make sure that you get back to your story about the basketball player on Married at First Sight. I want to hold up my end of the bargain, and that is to remind you.
It's just a quick impression, which is...
well, explain a little bit.
I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm going to do it right now. This is my impression of whatever his name is from whatever that season is or whatever that show.
I think his name is Matt.
Matt, basketball player, tall guy. I will give you backstory. He sits down with the woman he was paired with on Married at First Sight.
He was married to. It did not work out. She's very butthurt about it. He's trying to move on.
She seems... very, very upset.
Very upset.
And he's very stoic and kind of... a lot of dudes can, I think, get to a place where there's a not give an F that is so inherent, and he's in that place. And she freaks out and walks out. It's this big moment, and the host asks Matt a question.
Well, because she was trying to get him to sign her divorce papers live on camera.
Yes,
and he was like, she said that she had sent them to him like a few times and he hadn't signed them. And so they brought a notary to this reunion thing for him to sign on camera. That was their big gotcha moment they were supposed to have.
Making TV.
He was like, I'm not signing fucking divorce papers on a reality television show. I'm giving them to my lawyer. And they're like, why not? He's like, because there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And I thought that was the most well-spoken he's been on the entire show.
Yeah, so he deposited into the account of goodness when we were watching it.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, when she walks off because she gets upset about him not just signing papers without talking to a lawyer first, because what a terrible thing to do.
Yeah.
He gets up, and as he's walking out, the host says, make sure you sign those papers. And he goes, I will sign them as soon as possible. And then there's a brief pause, and he goes, I'm going to go hang out with an Instagram model. Y'all holla. And then walks out. And I was like...
He said an IG model.
IG model. Did I say Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, IG. That's the funny part. Yeah, I'm gonna hang out with an IG model. Holla. And like walks out, and I was like, I don't condone a lot of what he's doing here, but I enjoy watching him do it.
That was amazing. It all happened so fast, and it was so bizarre what was happening, and so like a strange energy and trying to create tension. And then he just walked off and gave himself the most accurate catchphrase a human could ever give themselves.
Yeah, it's second to like Seacrest out in terms of signing off to things. It'll live.
It was his version of a mic drop. And it was so... Oh, gosh. And it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's the thing that happens where they're producing something on reality TV and being like, this is going to be a crazy moment. And when that happens and they do a gotcha, it fell flat, and then he recovered and then said, I'm going to go hang out with an IG model, holla, and walked off.
Yeah, he dunked on them.
Great stuff. He made the show look like a fool, and that's the best part. Unless it's Survivor. I don't want them to make the show look like
They can't, because Jeff Probst is too good of a host. Like, that's the other thing that we were screaming about when we first got into it. We couldn't believe how great of a host
Two
Jeff
sisters
Probst.
Hugging or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's what he was saying about
that is a family hug.
But no, his ability
great.
To call and follow the play of challenges in real time as it's happening blows my mind. And then also to be able to have what seems like completely unscripted conversations with them. Of course, they, have producer notes, whatever. But the way he's able to hold a conversation like at tribal council and like off the cuff with them is so elegant, articulate, concise. I'm so in awe of the way he's able to do his job that there's no way the show goes out of control. Because even when it seems like it steers off course, he's such a pro.
He's right there.
He just brings it straight back.
It's perfect.
Or he makes it a moment just enough that it's like real and happening, and then he can like rein it in.
So this is like mildly embarrassing, but he's actually so good that I've made mental notes about how he does what he does.
Like certain little things that he does?
Yeah, for auditions, because I've talked about this on other podcasts, but I had this dream job opportunity one time where I auditioned for a show called Man versus, I can't say the title, but it was versus a bear.
Okay.
And it was a show where they would, I went into audition, and it was about bears and humans versus humans. It was my dream scenario because I thought it was very funny. A very funny thing to do. Sometimes I do things like that as bad ideas sometimes. But during the audition, he was like, they were asking me to kind of do that play-by-play that Jeff is good at. And I remember walking out and being like, I'm not good at that. Like, I'm not good at just saying things that are happening. And they would show me a video, and they would be like, is that my computer? It doesn't matter.
No,
I think my
mine.
computer's going off in there. But anyway, sorry. I watched him do it, and I was like, that's what you're supposed to do, because it's harder than it looks to just say what's happening in front of you.
There's an incredibly special, unique skill for sportscasters to be able to announce.
It's the cadence of like.
And there's apparently like one, I don't know his name, but there's like one legendary man that announces the NHL that's able to do that in real time. He's such a pro, and that's what Jeff Probst is able to fill dead air and tell you exactly what's going on without hesitation and without repetition. It's so impressive, and that's so hard to do.
Yes.
That's part of my fascination with watching the show too, is just watching him do his job so well.
Mad
As someone
respect.
like, both of us have done hosting things in various forms, and his
All
is
good.
like epitome amazing.
He's at the if there was a Survivor of television show hosts, he would
outwit, outlast, outplay. Is that the thing?
outwit, outlast, and outplay even Pat Sajak.
Even Pat Sajak.
Because
wow.
Pat Sajak would ride the wave of charisma to the final.
But I can't imagine Pat Sajak talking to a man in a stretcher getting pulled off of a boat onto a beach about how they need to get paramedics to him and they need him to say that he can't go on.
No, I mean the season 4 seasons from now, where it is the contestants are hosts, and Jeff Probst is a host of he's in the cast along with Pat Sajak.
Oh, you're saying Pat
Regis
Sajak
Philbin.
would win?
I think he would beat even Pat Sajak, but I want to see Pat Sajak on Survivor is what I'm trying to
100%, yeah.
It's a long walk to get there, but
we got there,
I'm imagining,
thanks for getting my steps in.
I don't know what we're talking about right now. I forgot where I am.
Well, that's as good a time as any to get to the end of this.
Yes,
then.
it is.
Well, you guys know that we're into Survivor now, so we will be talking in future weeks about future episodes, and we'll get Elliott caught up on where it's at right now.
I'm not rewatching something.
No,
that you've
I
already
need
seen.
to rewatch it because I didn't see a lot of the moments of it. Please.
All right.
We'll talk offline.
If you really don't remember, but if you're gonna remember everything, then
we'll talk offline.
You're right. I'm sorry. It's twice in a row. It's a stressful time. This has been wonderful. Grace, you're so cute. This is wonderful. Sweet. And you would do terribly on Survivor.
Yes, I would.
Thank you,
I
everybody.
would shit in the ocean, though. I'd be great at that.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, yeah, they probably has shit in the water. Oh, my God, the daughters. But anyway, we're also on iTunes and Spotify and Google Play if you guys would like to check us out and Pilot On. And you can see the videos at elliottmorgan.com/YouTube.
And there went the video.
That's the video. That's all you get.
Goodbye,
now it's just
guys.
black screen. Bye, everybody.